TSL Today on a Wednesday. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Tech Sideline set at the Corporate Research Center in Blacksburg. Giovanni Heater joined alongside Nick Brown with you as always. Nick, let's go ahead and talk about this Virginia Tech women's basketball game. Their season opener, they take down Mount St. Mary's. Final score 101-45. And I think it's very safe to say that this was a very impressive opening performance out of Virginia Tech. Couple of big takeaways for me here. Number one, even though Mount St. Mary's might not look the best this year, picked to finish 7th in their conference after now joining the MAAC. Last year, though, they were an NCAA tournament team. Virginia Tech pretty much handled them all the way throughout. And number two, not necessarily, I mean, Kitley had a good game. Owusu had a decent game. Sol had a decent game. Amor had a decent game. But the girl that stepped up the biggest was Kayla King, who was probably, the 4th or 5th best player on this team last year. She ends up dropping 33 points, sets a Virginia Tech single game record that was previously owned by Asia Shepard that she set in 2020. It was 8 3-pointers in a game. Kayla King surpasses her now with 9 in the season opener. I mean, just overall, Hokies look pretty darn good and lived up to the hype.
Yeah, pretty darn good. The parity in women's basketball is funny. So maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Virginia Tech may have won that game by 20 points. And everybody would have been like, oh, woo, good job, everybody. Great win. But then they would go to, play a Tennessee or play an NC State and lose by 15. But now Virginia Tech's arrived. And this win right here proves that, yeah, they're here for real. A 56-point win. I mean, that's absurd. 101-45. They're the real deal. And you've got 5, 6 players, 6 or 7 players probably that could drop 20 on any night. It's insane how deep this team is. Kayla King, like you said, 33 points, 9 of 16 3-point shooting. That's over 50%. If you shoot above 40% 3-point shooting, that's a good stat line. You shoot over 50, you're a flamethrower. So 9 of 16 shooting, 4 or 5 free throws too. She got to the line a few bit. Kitley, people are gonna be like, "Oh no, is Kitley okay? She only had 18 points and only 5 field goals. She was 7 for 7 free throws. And by the way, she sucked at free throws first half of the season last year. I don't know what Kenny Brooks did to her, but he switched something around with her, and her free throw shooting was incredible the second half of the season, and 7-7 to start this season. She had 9 rebounds, 6 blocks, almost a triple-double. But she was triple teamed, and that's how Kayla King also got wide open on a lot of threes. Kayla King knocked them down, don't get me wrong, but she wasn't, shaking off defenders left and right to shoot crazy step back threes. They're wide open because Kitley would get an entrance pass. 3 girls would immediately converge on her, and then she'd have to easily make the pass over their heads to King, who's wide open. Taylor Sol, loved watching her play. 4 steals along with 14 points. She had 2 sequences where she had back-to-back steals, wide open layups. So she got a steal, layup. Next possession, steal, layup. Boom, wide open layups. And then she tried to dunk. I think she slipped. She got the layup to go, but she missed the dunk. So, whatever. But she might get one. She said she's going to try to get a dunk this season, which would be awesome. Georgia Amor, I'm going to have to get on her a little bit. 11 points, 9 assists, home of the double-double, but 5 turnovers against Mount St. Mary's. A lot of predictable passes. She should have even had maybe a little more turnovers. A lot of passes were deflected out of bounds or tipped back to the Hokies. So she's got to clean that up.
Can you nod that up to game 1? I mean, we'll talk about it, but we saw a lot of that on the men's side, too.
Yeah, coaches always say in any sport, the biggest improvement is from game 1 to game 2.
Yeah.
So obviously I don't think Georgia Amor is going to average 5 turnovers a game, but that is, that was a little worrisome. Of course, you can do that against Mount St. Mary's, but you can't do that against an NC State, a Louisville, a Notre Dame, or a Tennessee. Ashley Owusu in her debut, 9 points. She is so smooth.
She's a ball handler,
and she can get open. She missed a couple open shots. Of course, you don't expect all of them to go in, but she had a lot of wide open shots, and she is so smooth, and she's gonna be fun. She's gonna break some ankles this season. And then Kayana Traylor off the bench, 11 points. I mean, when you have the second team all ACC tournament player coming off your bench, you're pretty good. Of course, Charlie's done 5 points. She hit it she knocked in the 3 to put Hokies over 100 points.
That was pretty cool.
So I want to give the freshman Aussie her props there. But the Hokies, they look stacked. They look really good. Clara Ford off the bench as well, gotten a couple rebounds. But the Hokies, man, they're good. They're real good.
Bucknell coming up on Friday. That's the next time the women's team will be in action. What do you kind of, besides maybe the turnover margin for Georgia Amore personally, what do you want to kind of see improved upon? I think my biggest thing is maybe just a little bit more offensive production out of Owusu. At the same time, she didn't have to, number one. Yeah. And number two, she's still settling into a new club. And the biggest takeaway, too, for her that I noticed just listening to Kenny Brooks speak about his team is she doesn't want to come in and be the number one like she was at Maryland. She said, this is Kitley's team. This is Amore's team. I just want to add on to it and take us to that next level. So maybe she doesn't have to go out there and drop 20 points a ball game.
Yeah, I don't expect Ashley Owusu to be putting up her All-American numbers that she did at Maryland, mostly because there's so many good players. Like I said, anybody can score 20-plus. Owusu's going to have a handful of 20-plus games this season. That's not a question at all. But I think you're going to see a little bit lesser production of Kitley than from what she was last year. She's not going to need to go out and score 42 points, against the Florida Gulf Coast. Kayla King's not going to average over 30 points. Sorry, fans. She's just not. But I don't think Georgia or Kitley are going to score as much as they were, and Owusu's not going to come in averaging 15. Taylor Soul's not going to come in averaging 17 like she did at Boston College. But I think you're going to see maybe those starting five all averaging 10 plus a game, maybe even 12 plus. I mean, so 12 plus is a lot, but 10 plus you might. And then you don't even need that. You have Traylor coming off the bench, and you've got a couple other really good young players coming off the bench too. So, and of course, Taylor Guyman got some action too. She missed 2 threes, but so the Hokies, man, they're deep. So if you see Kitley's numbers decrease, she's going to get her rebounds like she was last year, but you're not going to see her averaging over 20 or close to 20 points a game like we did a season ago. So Tech fans might be a little worried about that if they just check the box score after every game. But if you watch it, man, they're just going to be really efficient. I do want to see better passing. Amore wasn't the only person turning the ball over. I think there's a lot of forced entry passes to Kitley that didn't need to be there. Meanwhile, there's wide open people on the wings and behind the arc. But besides the turnovers, which they will clean up, Kenny Brooks will adjust. This team's going to go pretty far this season.
No doubt about it. Again, let's go ahead and take a little bit of a look at what Bucknell has to offer against the Hokies on Friday. I think a little bit higher level of competition, a little step up from Mount St. Mary's. Bucknell is a team that is, according to the preseason media poll, predicted to finish 4th in the Patriot League this year, underneath Boston University, Lehigh, and Holy Cross. And they do also have a Patriot League women's basketball preseason All-Patriot League player in Cecilia Collins as well, a sophomore guard who is pretty nasty, averaging 12 points a game last year, but pretty much a double-double, and they're really expecting her to take that next step. So maybe a little bit to offer, but I still think probably no match for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Tech might not score 100, but they'll win by 30 plus. Right. And if they don't, something bad happened. Right. I mean, that's just how, unfortunately, women's basketball is like that. With men's basketball, you'd be, shoot, an upset. We saw Stetson beat Florida State on Monday, but you can, in women's basketball, the parity is just so different. And so
it's like college football, more comparative to college football.
Exactly. And I think it's even worse than college football because even Alabama wouldn't beat Virginia Tech by, 40 or 50 this year. I don't know. It's not, I wouldn't say that. All that. Alabama's offense, not that very good. Bill O'Brien, he's on the chopping block. But anyways, whatever.
It's true.
I digress. Back to, but women's basketball, it's just, unfortunately, it's so predictable in these lesser games. I hate that for Bucknell, who walks in we're going to get beat by 30 or 40 this game. But It is what it is. So Virginia Tech will roll.
All right. Well, again, the Hokies are back in action on Friday against Bucknell. All right, let's take a short break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about that men's victory against Delaware State, break it down, and talk about their upcoming opponent in Lehigh on Thursday. TSL Today on a Wednesday. He's Nick Brown. I'm Giovanni Heater. See you in a minute.